Welcome to Yoga and Wellness Tips. I'm Veronica Munoz from HockeyYoga.ca, and I'm here to share with you today some new tips and techniques as to how to incorporate the wisdom and the yoga practice into your everyday life. And today I'm going to start a session about how to grow sunflower sprouts, just because they're so nutritious, so full of minerals and energy and life force as they grow into sprouts with two beautiful green leaves. So all you need is a few cups of sunflower sprouts. So this is what they look like. I use organic seeds. So the sunflower are not sprouts yet, but they have the potential of being sprouts. So they are actually seeds at the time being. And that is because they still haven't been exposed to humidity, which is what activates their beginning and their message that they need to start growing. And the way you do it is you buy, as I say, you can purchase in any health food store. They're sometimes hard to find, but you can also buy them online. Organic is better because you don't want to be eating bird seeds. Sometimes they're coated with some other things so that other animals don't eat it or they don't sprout in the grass. So better to just use organic. They may be more expensive, but it's worth it in the long run. And then what you do is you grab 1 cup and pour it into a container and 2 cups. And once you have that, you're going to add some water. So you get some water and you will add some water to it. This will start all the sprouting process in the sense that it will start waking up the inhibitors, the growth inhibitors in the seed that don't let them grow when they're sitting on a shelf or in a dry place until they're actually nicely exposed to humidity. So the water will quickly wake up the seed and tell the seed it's time to grow. You'll leave it overnight, ideally. So we're gonna put it aside and let it sit. And nothing much will happen overnight. All you'll watch and observe is that perhaps the seed will swell a little bit, and you can just leave them at room temperature. Once it's been sitting overnight, all you have to do is get a colander such as this, and you're going to grab the colander and get all the water out of the seeds. They don't need the seed anymore. So you'll get the water out of the seed in this way, and so you just have the seeds sitting in a colander, and you kind of like ensure that they're nicely spread out in there, you're exposed to a little bit of air, and then you have the option to sit them in this way, and you can either cover it, you can cover it either with a rag, or you can use and improvise any other form of covering, like a paper towel or some other cloth that you can use, such as this one. So you'll cover it in this way, and then that way in the darkness they will start waking up and developing some little nice tails. Now if you don't want to cover it in this way, you can also use the same bowl where you soak them, remove the water, and then you can put the cover on top. Either way, as long as they are slightly covered, but there's a little bit of air, so there's no fungus or anything else that develops, and you'll leave them resting like that for a full 24 hours, and then you'll wash them again. You can put some water in them and let them soak again without any water, perhaps for 1 or 2 days. It depends on the weather conditions, whether it's winter, whether it's not, and you will see that they will develop a little white tail. So I will come back once that tail is ready and show you how to continue with the growing process, so that then we're going to have to transfer those beginning to sprout seeds onto some growing medium, which ideally will be organic earth or soil. So I will show that at a later point. First, I have to give some time for the seeds to actually begin their sprouting process. And you will see magic, how these sunflower seeds will grow into beautiful, beautiful green, very nutritious sprouts. Now it's time to move on to the next step. We've already had our sprouts right here in the colander for about 48 hours. Sometimes it only takes 24 hours. It depends on the weather, whether it's really hot or humid. In those conditions, the seeds are going to sprout sooner, just because the enzymes are going to awaken the seed and all the potential for life force to reawaken in the seed, and therefore it will shoot the little sprout sooner. But in my situation, just because I'm in a colder environment, I keep it in a dark place. That is the optimal conditions for the sprout to happen, to start sprouting the seed. And basically I keep it in the colander, and I will show you that I'm gonna uncover it now, and you will see that there's these little sprouts. You see these little white tails that happen. That is an indication that the seed has reawakened completely. And even at the bottom, you can see little roots starting to grow, searching for more moisture. So at that point, the seeds need a medium to grow. The optimal medium is organic dirt. So there's many other ways, but this is, I find, is a more convenient. It doesn't take much, and I recycle basically any containers to do this. In this situation, I think these are mushroom containers, and I make little holes at the bottom so that it can drain if there's any excess of water. If there's too much of a buildup of moisture, you will find that your sprouts will become moldy, either at the root of the sprout or the stem of the sprout or at the very top. Either way, they're going to be spoiled. So you might as well ensure that that won't happen by creating these little holes with a knife or a scissors or whatever works for you to ensure there is a place for the water, the excess moisture to drain. And once you do have the organic dirt spread in these containers, you're going to need a base for it, where I usually put water underneath so that they can also feed themselves from the bottom, from the roots, once the roots are long enough. So the very first thing I do, once I know that the dirt is really nice and layered, I just sprinkle a little bit of water. I spray water just with any sprayer will do. You can even recycle any container that you have, or you can do it by hand, just with a spoon or anything that works, just until it's moist, there's moisture to the touch. You don't want it overly watery, or else again the seeds are going to be prone to mold. Once I've done that, then the next step is grab the seeds that are already nicely sprouted, and I start basically spreading them evenly right on top of the earth, just like this. So I distribute them. In my case, I do over 3 batches because I know that 2 cups of the sunflower seeds, the organic seeds, pretty much will produce those 3 batches of sprouts, and that's pretty much good for me to last me for pretty much 2 weeks, and I use them in every salad and different wraps that I do with seaweed sheets and stuff like that. So basically, once you have them, I use a fork, just I find it easier to use without putting too much force, because you don't want to break those tails of the sprout. That's the very beginning of the plant, showing that it wants to mature and grow and get going on its growing process. So I sprout evenly. As you see, it doesn't take too long to do. And then even before, you have 2 choices. You can either just leave them like this and then cover them, which I found again that unfortunately is too prone to creating moldy conditions. I personally sprout them ever so slightly, just with I spray them with a little bit of water, just like this. And once I'm done spraying them, I grab just a little bit more of organic dirt, and very gently I just ensure to sprinkle a little bit of that dirt on top, just like this. And that ensures that the conditions are very similar to what would happen in nature if these sprouts who have just fallen, for example, from a seed bird breeder, for example. They will just be underground, covered by a little bit of dirt or some grass, and that darkness would assist them in growing, and that ensures that they're not too exposed to humidity or to sunlight until they're in the 3rd stage, when they really start growing roots that are deeper and that will let them reach for nutrition into the organic soil. So right now they're just beginning to sprout, they're not completely ready, so just slightly covered, not too much. Sometimes you can see a little bit of the white. And then once I've done that, once again I just sprinkle ever so slightly, a little bit of water. I spread just a little bit so that once again it's moist to the touch, not too much or you're gonna get mold. Once I finished all that process, then I grab this cover. This is what I use, but you can use anything that you wish, and it doesn't really matter if it starts. Some people use newspapers even, so it doesn't have to be this fancy thing, which by the way is not fancy at all. It was $2 Canadian where I got it at the Home Depot in Canada, so you can pretty much recycle any container that you wish and it does the job. And once you have it covered like that, that will create once again the optimal conditions for those sprouts to continue growing and start reaching for more light. And they have to struggle a little bit to look for the light. That's why they are left still for 1 or 2 more days in a dark environment, and that will ensure that they will make an effort to travel through the dirt, to grow deep roots, to look for more nutrition in search for the sunlight. And only at that point we're going to move to the third stage, where we're going to expose them to a sunny window somewhere, so that we can really uncover them and they can benefit from that exposure to the sun. But right now what they need is darkness, a moisture environment that is not too moist, and for the next day, maybe twice a day, in the mornings and in the evenings, just that works for me best. Remember, I do that spraying thing ever so slightly. And also, just in case, because they don't all grow evenly, I always grab a jar of water, and I'm just going to remove a second the lid so that you can see what I tend to do. And I lift up and I just basically dump the water right inside. And that soaks all the bottom, and through those little holes at the bottom of each of the containers, should some of the roots be deep enough, they can start feeding themselves from that water, so that I ensure that I'm meeting the moisture from the top and from the bottom, and therefore every single seed will be ensured to have some access to moisture, either from the top or from the bottom. And with these kind of conditions, I basically have 100% produce, basically 100% success. Every single seed ends up sprouting. So I'm very happy with this system. It really works for me, and you have to try it out. What I'm gonna do now is go and put it inside a very dark closet, where they are going to remain probably for the next 2 days, until I do see that there is an effort and there is a little bit of a white leaf, and I'll show you later what that will look like. And at that point we're going to go ahead and expose the sprouts uncovered, or covered only if it's really cold, next to a sunny window. And we'll see our sprouts really grow to their full potential with 2 beautiful green leaves. So we're getting close to that, and I'm looking forward to showing you what continues and what is the next step. Let these sprouts go to the darkness now and do their job, growing from the inside out, so that you may enjoy all the nutrition from these wonderful seeds full of life force.